Hey there, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor. Thanks for checking me out. So, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some Mandela effects, and I think you'll find this interesting. So, I watched the Barbie movie yesterday, and I'm going to spoil a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of it. So, if you haven't seen it, you plan on seeing this, maybe you want to watch this video later, maybe not. So, just a little bit. So, the parent company that made Barbie, Mattel, I noticed now they have two T's in Mattel. For a lot of you, they've always had two T's. For me, it's always been one T until the movie started and they said Mattel. And then I was like, what? So, the interesting part about this Mandela effect is that I look back and there's a video from 8 years ago where people are talking about the two T's being connected. But I only remember it with one T. So if you remember it with two T's, that's great. I'm sure most of you will say two T's. For me, it always said one T. And these are what I call, now maybe I'll just say it, surface Mandela effects. So these are entry level Mandela effects, or ABC Mandela effects. So when the letters doubling or not doubling point to something, and there are deeper meanings, and it goes pretty deep, but that'll lead you to deeper Mandela effects, which are pretty crazy. So most people can only perceive the Mandela effects of, if you're into this at all, which is a small percentage of the population, are the double letters and single letters, maybe logos changing, which is basically the same thing. And then talking about the double letters, I've talked about that, before, but let's talk about why this would be a double T for Mattel versus a single T. Well, in the movie they talk about a lot of things. And again, I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler. One of the things within and by the way, I'm wearing my crazy glasses today because I couldn't find any of my other sunglasses. So these are my crazy glasses that cost about $3. Anyway, my backup. The two T's are there to, draw. You say, hey, look at this, right? What's the information embedded around it? So within the movie, starts off with a scene like with the monoliths. So we have the monoliths that I was talking about, a couple of years ago already. Remember that monolith? Okay, so that's a theme in it. They even have a lot of Matrix themes in it, in Men in Black, and like the Matrix. So it's very interesting that the same kind of theme occurs. And I don't think I'm giving away the movie by saying that Barbie's a doll, but there's a real world. So there is a world within another world. So that's what the Mandela effects are about. We have a world that's being, like I said in my other videos not too long ago, covered over, and then the world of our world is kind of basically being screwed up, and there's a different world. So we have the Einstein-Rosenberg bridge, and so that was a Mandela effect for me some years ago, and that was the different worlds within a world, translating the information from one to the other and what's going on. So someone came on my channel and asked me about video. The interesting thing that came up is that I post these videos, and part of it is a test to see when people come to this knowledge. And a lot of people all of a sudden started commenting on the video I had about the space shuttle Columbia disaster. And for me, that never happened, and then all of a sudden it happened. So what they're saying is, what's my take on it? Well, I tried this out a few times. I tried telling people a deeper information level without, giving them the surface information level first. And it's like there's this veil, and you just can't retain the knowledge. So if I tell you, you just won't get it. Sometimes I make a video, and I'll go to the deeper knowledge right away, and then I'll say the information, and then people tell me they play the video over and over and over, and then it starts to make sense, and then they just don't get it. So you won't get it. You have to understand the first levels of the Mandela effects before you get to the deeper ones. Anyway, the guy who did the Croft, this show with Sigmund the Sea Monster was on the that's very weird. Sigmund the Sea Monster, that whole show that was on Saturday mornings for kids a long time ago. Anyway, I noticed he has a double letter in his name. I don't even remember his name right now. I'm driving, but I noticed that changed, by the way, too. The big scary changes I talked about only like 3 videos ago, and I got almost 0 views. And it's like a mind-blowing one. Like, that's the deeper knowledge information. And I could say it, and then you won't get it. It will be right there in front of you. There's a veil, so you just can't see it right now. It's really amazing. So this is a channel that sometimes goes beyond the veil, and then when I say those things, I get 0 shares, 0 views, 0 likes, because you just can't understand it. So it's like I'm speaking gibberish for a while, and then all of a sudden it seems like when people get up to that level, like 6 years later, I'm getting all of a sudden a lot of views on certain videos. So it could be like that. You could view it as timelines. So when people come into the timeline, that's what a lot of people talk about. They say, well, when people come into this timeline, then they'll come and look at the views. So there's a lot of that going around. For a lot of people, they didn't notice Mandela effects, like Hillary Clinton with 2 L's, and yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. And then the surface information, you kind of have to understand. And I talked about the ABC ones, like the cornucopia. I started talking about, the other one I was going to tell you about real quick before I go is I talked about food shortages before there were food shortages, right? I talked about the rice whales, and then I got attacked on my channel, people saying that rice isn't spelled like the rice that you eat. It was different spelling for the whales, and now it's exactly the way it is for people, so it flip-flopped. And now if you go look, rice whales, they're saying it's a very rare whale. It's early morning. A very rare whale, but it wasn't that rare when I talked about it. But now it's a rare whale, but now it's RICE, and that's why I was saying that was a Mandela effect, because that whale popped up into our reality, and its name was rice, which is the most common thing that people eat. So I was saying that was a sign that we're going to have food shortages, and then we did have food shortages, and all these other things going on. So I told everybody, but then nobody listened, and a couple years later it happens, and now the Mandela effect's there. So I just keep saying things, and then eventually it happens, and it's happening, and then people see the Mandela effect that I talked about years later. So it's very interesting. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, share. Have a great day. Bye-bye.